All right, hey everyone. We're not doing our intro thing. All right. Hopped on. I was about to go live and read the Guardian article that essentially wanted to attack the Washington Post and come to the defense of veterans. As I was preparing to do that, our beautiful, notorious, I don't know what other ways to describe this. We have another article in part of the Washington Post series from our fearless Washington Post representative, whose last name is pronounced Ryan, by the way, Lisa Ryan. And here we go. We're going to go. I mean, look at this thing. We're going right at it. And I can tell you right now, if you just look at the title, how do I raise my disability? This is not Google. This is the article. And the CivDiv update. One, that's not even my profile. That's someone's just posting my stuff. Here's Combat Craig. Here's VA Claims Insider, VA Claims Insider, VA Claims Insider, Combat Craig, who's dead, by the way, VA Claims Insider. I don't even know who that person is. Veteran DP, and Veterans Claims Insider. I'm happy to make the list, although that's not even me. But okay, let's see what is happening here. He wears a straw cowboy hat, flashes fistfuls of cash, and has attracted winning big with VA disability claims. Now, see, that is, I'm curious. Obviously, this right here is Combat Craig. I'm curious if the Washington Post knows that he passed away. Because if not, dude, that's a little messed up, man. Yikes. But let's just keep on reading. All right. Winning big with VA disability claims, the Gulf War veterans pitch to fellow vets for just $99.95 a year. His boot camp tutorials will teach them how to supercharge your VA claim rating and your paycheck. Meet Combat Craig, a grizzled and plain-spoken online influencer who has helped drive a booming, unregulated industry of for-profit firms that coach former service members to take advantage of the Department of Veteran Affairs' $193 billion disability compensation system and take a cut for themselves. So here we are. What is this, quadrupled down now? All right. And this just came out, by the way, 19 minutes ago. So, okay. That's like many. I mean, I have a few thoughts on this. Unregulated industry for-profit firms. That's true. Okay. That's a little harsh way of saying it, but that is true. Okay. That coach former service members to take advantage of the VA. That's not true. It's to take advantage of their own benefits. Evidence is what wins VA claims, nothing else. And veterans simply don't know the burden of evidence that's on their shoulders. Anyways, like many other ex-military entrepreneurs in the thriving claims industry, Combat Craig boasts that he can help virtually any veteran obtain 100% disability rating from the VA. I'm willing to bet that's taken out of context there. It's more like being properly rated. And if that is 100%, great. If it's SMC, great. If that's 40%, great. I mean, evidence wins claims. Influencer hype the 100% threshold as the holy grail because it pays about $50,000 a year tax-free and comes with no-cost healthcare and a host of other perks. Thousands in the Hundo 100% club. You can do it too. Combat Craig's website promises. This is going to be a good one. Disability ratings of 100% once were granted to only the most incapacitated veterans, typically those whose war wounds precluded them from taking civilian jobs. But today, the maximum rating is the most commonly held one by far. Of the roughly 6 million veterans receiving disability payments last year, 1.5 million were designated 100%. A nearly 9-fold increase since 2021, the most recently available figures show. That part's true. This part is true. Okay. Weird graphs here. I would have showed the where they got it from. Okay. Anyways, military service is often dangerous, and VA officials say many hold 100% ratings because of disfiguring injuries or severe illnesses they suffered while serving the United States. The toll from the 2 decades war in Afghanistan and Iraq, they say, is responsible for most of the trend toward higher awards. I mean, that is a big one. And then we also have access to information, right? Vietnam veterans still don't know that they're able to claim benefits. And so now we have the internet, and now people know. And so they're taking advantage not of the VA, but of their earned benefits. But a Washington Post investigation found that for-profit consultants like Combat Craig are compounding the spike in ratings with manipulative tactics. I wouldn't even put Combat Craig in that claim company category. Okay, there are many others to go after. You could have went after myself for evidence-based VA claims, but his boot camp isn't necessarily a claim company. It's kind of like private live Q&As. By the way, he passed away, so rest in peace to him. Many urge veterans to stress the truth about their ailments. Now here we go. And claim hard to disprove conditions that VA is unlikely to challenge, such as migraines, ED, and PTSD. Okay, so this is where they take a turn. Who is many? Is Washington Post saying Combat Craig is one of them? Like, this is vague. Many urge veterans. And then whoever is telling veterans to stretch their truth, that's fraud, and they should go to prison. And then hard to disprove conditions. They're not hard to disprove at all. They're actually hard to prove. It's the opposite. And the big one here is PTSD is hard to prove. Let me just off the cusp here. Can you see that? All right. Let's just go to M21 TAC 1. Okay. And you go to, I think it's part 5 here where it talks about PTSD a lot. Maybe it's 4. All of this right here goes into how hard it is to prove the in-service stressor occurred, to confirm the diagnosis. PTSD is not your walk in the park VA disability claim at all. If you wanted to use one like that, and what tone she's taking here, I'm saying she as Lisa Ryan, I understand there's more at Washington Post. I would have went with things like tinnitus, but this is just wrong. It's just wrong. It's incorrect. Same with migraines, incorrect. Okay. To claim that the medical community can't confirm a diagnosis like migraines or PTSD is it's just ignorant. By promising higher ratings and bigger disability checks, they have persuaded millions of veterans to pay as much as $20,000 for their services. And again, we're using vague language here. Many, they, and then whenever you use this in the same paragraph as Combat Craig, a YouTuber, the correlation that they're drawing is that him and others like him have these charges, which it's not. It's a single company that has these charges. Anyways, and that's him. Rest in peace, Combat Craig. Unlike nonprofit veterans organizations, these businesses are not accredited by the VA, yet the industry helps veterans secure compensation from VA for hundreds of thousands of disabilities, according to current and former company and government officials. While many of the businesses provide legitimate services, some who have worked in the industry say it is steeped in hucksterism and fraud. Okay? I had to convince the vets they had PTSD. See, now that's not good. And of course, they're looking at Veterans Guardian, and I don't want to get into the Veterans Guardian hole. It's a court case. I've already covered that. but they are a major player. What I don't like is that Washington Post is correlating Combat Craig, who doesn't do this, who doesn't charge this, with the worst VA claim company on the planet, which is, where are they at? Oh, here we go. Veterans Guardian, a North Carolina-based disability claims company from 21 to 23. The vets would tell me I don't have that symptom. I had to tell them to get your rating higher, you have to have these symptoms. Okay, that's fraud. That is fraud. Prison time. The surge in 100% ratings is primarily driven by younger generation of veterans who served in the aftermath of the 9/11 attacks. Duh. We're Alive were the ones claiming disability. A post-analysis of U.S. Census Bureau data found that employed veterans between the ages of 26 and 35 account for the biggest increase in ratings, between 70 and 100%. It's because we're millennials, the young millennials, and then I guess older, what is that? Gen Zers, the older side of Gen Zers. We have the internet, man. That's why. And we have things like the BDD program, and I'm sure they're going to bring that up. And then obviously a 20-plus year war that was unwinnable. Anyways, let's keep on going. I'm pretty sure it's only going to get better from here. A high disability designation usually does not mean that a veteran is physically unable to work. Most disabled veterans under 65 still earn paychecks from full-time jobs, data shows. True statement. It's crazy. Because if you don't know, I'm going to be live streaming with Daniel Gade, PhD, myself and Jason from Veterans Info Tap. We're having that discussion. It's probably going to be a little spicy. Tune in for that. But isn't it crazy that Washington Post is saying this and his whole stance is the complete opposite? It's like no one knows what they're talking about. Both can't be true. Some 100% ratings are deemed P&T. In the lingo of veteran swapping strategies online, the designation is especially coveted for veterans because it means VA usually can't take back the award, even if their condition improves. That's okay. Let me give you everyone a lesson. Believe it or not, P&T is not a protection at all. Not a protection. Not even a little bit. Okay? I know some of you be like, well, really? It's not. The only protections are the 10-year rule. 5 years not a protection, by the way. It's the 10-year rule and the 20-year rule. And then the 38 CFR, I think it's 319 alpha, don't quote me on that, talks about when the VA SRD changes that your rating shall not be subjected to the new one or whatever paraphrase, right? Those are the only three protections. P&T is not a protection at all. And to come out so abrasive and say that is the Washington Post pretty much saying, hey, I don't know what I'm talking about. Right? Anyways, because P&T is not a protection. Anyone who is P&T, as long as you're below 20 years, could have your P&T reduced, reevaluated. I don't want to get into reductions and reevaluations. There's tons of videos on this channel for that, but it's not a protection. It doesn't mean protected in total. All right. So food for thought. It's just wrong. Just incorrect. A Reddit page on VA benefits draws 200,000. Okay. I guess we have to read this. So I'm at 90% now, which is phenomenal. And I'm truly blessed for it, but I can't stop thinking of getting 100%, which I'm sure is very common for someone with my rating or even around my rating. My question goes for all the 100%ers. How is your guys' lives? Tell me life changing. Any well-known perks? Okay, I mean, that's not the best Reddit post ever. For-profit consultants and online influencers aren't the only ones teaching veterans how to work the system to their advantage. How to work the system. I would just argue how to structure your evidence so veterans are given what they've earned. VA accredits about 15,000 agents, from lawyers to large nonprofits, to file claims on behalf of veterans at no cost. Again, wrong. Okay? Wrong, 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 wrong. If the Washington Post is going to put veterans in a negative light, there are good arguments to do that. Okay? In fact, I wonder if that would make a good video, but people would be really mad at me if I did that. There's a good argument to do that, but I'll tell you this: if you're gonna do it, at least be correct. And this is just wrong. You could even argue that there are claim shark lawyers out there, but I will fall back on that. The country's most prominent veteran service organizations, nonprofit groups such as American Legion, DAV, provide step-by-step guidance to hundreds of thousands of clients on how to maximize their rating by claiming as many disabilities as possible. Okay. I did not see that coming, where now they are attacking VSOs. Okay, and we saw this from Daniel Gade as well, which is crazy because the general consensus, and I'm sorry to the VSOs out there, but the general consensus is that VSOs suck. And it's just crazy to see, people give VSOs a lot of credit. Now, I'm a big VSO fan, okay, but the individual accredited service officer, some are really good, and some should just play bingo and retire. We'll just say that. The accredited organizations and the unaccredited industry view each other as adversaries. Both sides are lobbying Congress to pass bills that would make it easier for them to retain veterans as clients at the expense of the other. Yet they take a similar approach when helping veterans file disability claims by touting the earning potential of minor or everyday ailments, including hay fever, hemorrhoids, and high blood pressure. I wouldn't call high blood pressure, hypertension, a minor ailment. That's very serious and it requires medication. If you don't get on medication and you have hypertension, you're gonna die. Okay. Also commonly 0%, by the way. VA itself tactically encouraged the same thing. During the Biden admin, VA stepped up a public relations campaign to reach out to veterans in person and online to urge them to claim their earned benefits. The department has done little to deter or police fraud. Not true at all, as testified by the VA OIG and GAO and Daniel Gade himself. Okay, not true at all. And then this is about the PACT Act, is what this is referring to. I'm curious if they even know that, right? Because the Biden signed it into law. It was a huge, although it was bipartisan, and you can argue this till you're blue in the face, it was a big win for the Biden admin. So yeah, they're gonna talk about it, and it is a big win for veterans. That just happened to happen under the Biden administration. The Post presented VA officials with a detailed summary of this article and a list of questions, most of which they declined to answer. In an email, Peter Kay, the department's press secretary, assailed the radical liberal Washington Post for its shoddy brand of liberal activist journalism. Well, at least we get some funny stuff in here. When VA sees signs of fraud or suspicious behavior, it works with the appropriate law enforcement authorities to protect taxpayers, veterans, families, caregivers, and survivors, Kay said. But we also want to make sure veterans have choices, particularly if they aren't happy with whatever options might be available to them for free. I'm curious as to what this VA spokesperson is referring to here for that specifically. He added, VA continues to examine this issue, and in the meantime, we are working to make it easier for veterans to access the VA benefits and services they have earned, so people don't need third parties to get what our nation owes them. Okay, and that's what he's talking about. I mean, sure, make VA benefits easier. Got it. And they're not, just to be clear, the VA isn't this is what people get wrong all the time. The VA isn't talking about making it easier to get benefits. They're talking about, the 526EZ, simplifying that paperwork, doing all this stuff that's really useless. Not exactly making it easier for veterans to claim benefits. It's already easy. Go to va.gov. If you cannot navigate va.gov and submit a claim, you need to read a book. Okay. Anyways, over the past 25 years, veterans have flooded the government with an escalating number of claims, usually for multiple ailments. The Post reported in October last year, more than a third of veterans received compensation for an average of 7 conditions, up from 2.5% in 2001, VA records show. Man, if only we didn't go to a war that was unwinnable. The Post found that in recent years, it has become common for veterans to submit claims for 20 or more disabilities. I mean, I didn't submit 20 disabilities. I think that's a very broad generalization there. Achieving the 100% designation is not as simple as adding individual ratings together. To calculate a disability rating, VA starts by 100% efficient person. I am so interested to see how Washington Post is going to explain VA math, meaning he or she is able-bodied enough to work and handle daily tasks. A disability award lowers that efficiency. If more disabilities are awarded, VA applies them in order of severity to the remaining percentage. The calculation PTSD, sleep apnea, plantar fasciitis, and anxiety might look like this. Already got some red flags here. Under the law, veterans must prove that disabilities are connected to their military service to qualify for VA comp, but they do not need to be caused by combat or war. Is that a negative connotation they're adding? In 2001, veterans received benefits for a total of nearly 6 million disabilities. By last year, that number had risen to 41.7 million, a 7-fold increase. Oh my goodness. You guys remember when those planes hit those towers and then the country sent 17, 18, 19-year-olds to war for over 20 years? I do, because I was in 3rd grade when that happened. And then when I was 18, I went to Afghan. And then I went to Syria. And then I went to other countries over the same issue. Anyways. Wow. Many veterans say they see the money and perks as deserved comp for their sacrifice to the country, not necessarily as markers of disability. We're getting away from I'm disabled to what is your VA rating, said Jonathan Gamer, manager of the TAP at Peterson Space Force Base in Colorado Springs from 2022 until this year. When it comes to disability compensation, Gamer said the government-run transition program, which helps service members prepare to leave the military, has one goal: maximizing the payout for veterans. And here we go. There's no way they're about to attack BDD claims. We're trying to get civilians who left the military to understand that at a rating of 50% or higher, you get free license plates, Gamer said. Specific to that state, 30% gets you veterans preference with the federal government and so on. This is almost nothing, especially now. I guess these are pictures of BDD. Yeah. TAP, sorry. Some veterans say they are grateful to companies that have helped them navigate VA disabilities system to boost their ratings. Army veteran Marcus Obeda saw his PTSD rating rise from 50 to 70, and his monthly checks jumped from 18 to 23 after paying a flat fee to a consulting company. Every single person in the Army knows about disability. Said Obeda 31, who left the service in 2016. He said the mentality has become, all I have to do is hurt my ankle on a march or even working all out off duty. This is a new culture. There's some truth to that, okay? There's some truth to that. Public debate over the consequences of that cultural shift is rare and has ignited political backlash. When Donald Trump, then the president-elect, tapped Pete Hegseth to become defense secretary last year, liberal veterans groups attacked him by circulating a 5-year-old clip of the Fox News host, a former Army officer, criticizing some veterans for seeking disability payments when they don't really need them. Is the Washington Post supporting Pete Hegseth? Groups out there, vet groups mostly, encourage vets to apply for every government benefit they can ever get after they leave the service. Encourage vets to apply for every government benefit they can ever get after they leave the service, Hegseth said at the time. I don't want to be dependent if I don't have to be. I mean, that's fine. Then change the laws in Congress, right? Because we have to prove our chronic conditions, our clinically chronic conditions are connected to service. And if you don't like it, then change the law. During a confirmation hearing in January, Democratic senators pilloried Hegseth for the remarks. He didn't walk back these comments, but told lawmakers every veteran should have rapid access to all the benefits that they've earned. Got my pumpkin spice here, by the way. To chronicle the transformation of VA's disability system from a safety net for wounded warriors into one of the federal government's most expensive entitled programs, Post reporters visited military bases in North Carolina, Colorado, and California, interviewing veterans and key players contributing to the wave of claims. Okay. In military classrooms, the Post observed representatives from VFW, one of the oldest VSOs, chartered by Congress, urged troops nearing the end of their enlistment to complete paperwork and medical exams so they could collect disability checks as soon as they hung up their uniforms. That day, almost everyone there was medically fit for duty. Okay, and a DoD rating is not the same as a VA rating at all. One reporter traveled to the Black Hills of South Dakota to observe as VA officials held a pop-up benefits clinic at a crowded motorcycle rally and coaxed hardly riding veterans to file claims on the spot. Okay, now this one makes me so mad. I'm trying to think of words to use right now. If you served in the military and you have medical evidence in your military records, and then you still deal with that disability, right? Rolling your ankle is not a disability. 20 years go by and you still have that same condition that's chronic, by the way. It's been persistent. Having veterans submit a claim for that is not it's not this. It's getting veterans what they have earned. That's it. And the only thing that's preventing them from doing that is a legal process. I think the process works. Okay. People complain about VA disability process. I think it works. I mean, obviously it works. If a quarter of all veterans who are rated are 100%, it does work. But dude, this is like, I want to punch. Not that I would ever hit a woman, right? But if someone could just bam, just for this one sentence here. Anyways, finally, another reporter crossed the vast potato fields near Blackfoot, Idaho, to visit the bunker where Combat Craig recorded hundreds of his popular YouTube videos and to learn more about the murky past of an industry pioneer. Okay. So they knew he was in Idaho. I wonder if they know that he passed away. Federal law is supposed to protect veterans from being gouged by lawyers or agents who file disability claims on their behalf. Claims agents must be accredited by VA and can charge fees only when handling appeals. Do you remember when they said earlier that it's at no cost? So they did know, but they put it there anyways because they're I don't know, crazy. In recent years, however, more than 100 unaccredited for-profit firms have entered the field by exploiting a legal loophole the polls found. These businesses contend that the law allows them to provide advice and educational materials to veterans for a fee, typically between $5,000 and $20,000, as long as the veterans submit their claim forms to VA themselves. The issue is, well, I guess technically the veterans submit it themselves, but a lot of companies fill out the paperwork for them, which, by the way, you should not do. Okay? Do not let someone do that for you. You're asking to get slapped. Unaccredited advisors say they provide a valuable service to veterans frustrated by VA's bureaucracy. For years, the department has struggled to clear a backlog of hundreds of thousands of overdue disability claims. Not anymore. The backlogs decreased a lot. A few thoughts on that. I won't do that here. Okay. And then this is Michael Missal, the former VA IG, spoke to the Post about unaccredited claims reps and the Trump admin. The disability system has become even more difficult for veterans to navigate, said Jeff Eller, spokesperson for VA Claims Insider, in an email. I don't want to hate on VA Claims Insider. Trust me, I've done that a lot already on this channel. But I will say this, the VA disability claim system has become easier. You may not like it, but it's become easier. I could right now go to va.gov in 15 minutes, submit a VA claim, submit 10 VA claims easily. Okay. Submitting the claim isn't the issue. It is the evidence behind the claim that gets it to be, or that is awarded service connection. Whoa. That's the issue. So I would argue that the VA disability claim process has become easier. And all veterans have access. And again, if you can't navigate va.gov, you need to read a book. All right? You need to read more books. The company, one of the first to break ground in the industry, typically charges 6 times the amount of any monthly increase to a veteran's disability check, which is absolutely crazy. And I can't believe that company is even still functioning today. I can't believe it. It just blows my mind. If America is willing to send men and women to war, then the nation has a solemn duty to fully support them when they return home, Eller said. That is why the VA exists and why VA Claims Insider works every day to educate and empower veterans who are too often left behind a system that has failed them. Critics deride the unaccredited consultants as claim sharks and say they exploit veterans by pocketing a large cut of their disability compensation. Because many charge on a contingency basis, the companies have a financial incentive to exaggerate the seriousness of their clients' conditions. I agree with that. I wholeheartedly agree with that. When you charge for future benefits and you have on staff people who do Nexus letters and DBQs, those are the ingredients for fraud to take place. And we see that with Veterans Guardian. Okay. That part I agree with. A practice that is helping to fuel the skyrocketing number of veterans with 100% ratings. VA officials have cautioned veterans to avoid for-profit companies and try to limit their influence. From 17 to 24, VA lawyers issued warning letters to 140 unaccredited groups and individuals, accusing most of illegally charging veterans and acting as unaccredited reps, according to the documents the Post obtained as part of a FOIA lawsuit against the government. Under the law, however, the government lacks the authority to file criminal charges or impose penalties against unaccredited claims companies for these actions, so the warning letters often go ignored. Exaggerated claims routinely slip through VA's benefit system, even though watchdogs have raised red flags about the potential fraud since 2012. So again, just last week, the VAOIG, the GAO, Daniel Gade himself, okay, all testified that this isn't an issue. It's a non-issue. Now, the Washington Post wants to double down on that, and they're probably not going to quote the VAOIG or GAO refuting what this says here. Because the truth it's the first truth concept, right? If this is the only thing that you read, you're going to take that as truth. And everything else has to combat against that. Anyways, veterans typically file their claims along with questionnaires that medical providers fill out to determine if the disability is service-connected. In 5 separate audits and investigations, VA's OIG and GAO warned that the questionnaires, which are available online, are vulnerable to fraud. So some questionnaires are available online. All right, I'll show you exactly where they are right now. You just go to Google, VA public DBQs, and bada bing, bada boom, here they are, right? It took me 2 seconds to get. You can download these PDFs right here. And when it comes to this specifically, it's probably referencing Veterans Guardian right now in that lawsuit. And the GAO, or was it, I think it was VAOIG. One of the two, I'm gonna say VAOIG, did testify that DBQs on both public, what I just showed you, and from CNP examiners she said they're an issue, or paraphrase, right? So there's some truth to that. I don't even know what this photo is about. Okay. The most recent warning came in a 24 report, which the IG found the medical forms present a significant risk of fraud. So I know this OIG report very well. After reviewing a sample of claims, investigators determined that almost 70% of 31,900 contained one or more potential fraud indicators, such as signs of alteration or the assignment of 100% disability claims. Okay, so see, we're picking and choosing here. Now, you may not know this, but I do. There were 7 indicators of fraud total. This is 2 of them. Obviously, this is a big one. Okay, that's a huge one. And then this one here, assignment of 100% VA rating without sufficient medical documentation, that's a big one. But there were other indicators like being more than 100 miles away. And to be clear here, where's this word at? Indicators doesn't mean that it is fraud. It just means that, hey, here's an indicator. We need to keep an eye on that. That's it. And what happens when you submit a DBQ that has indications of fraud, as interpreted by claims processors? They're going to kick it to a CMP exam. And so to say that claims processors, investigators noted were not required to authenticate any of the information in the questionnaires, they're going to kick it to a CMP exam, because that's how the VBA has interpreted the OIG report, which actually harms veterans more than it helps, by the way, but that's a different story. And so it's weird how they didn't list all 7 indications of fraud. And if you have one indicator, especially that isn't this, right? If you have one indicator, no big deal. If you have like 2, 3, something's up. So selected truth is what I would like to call that one. Many claims reviewers at VA did not even know they could refuse to approve a case if they believed the medical form was fraudulent, the report concluded. What? I don't know about that one. I don't remember seeing this in the report. So I'm not going to say it's not in there, but I'll tell you this. The notion that a claims processor isn't kicking claims to CMP exams is stupid. Okay, it just is wild. Anyways, benefit of the doubt, let's go ahead and give that to a Washington Post. We would figure the scams out. Recall Jay Brewer, who served as a meteorologist with the Marine Corps for 3 decades before taking a job in 2018 processing claims for VBA, the division of VA that handles disability compensation in the Louisville area. Hey, it's my hometown. That's where I was born and raised. And a meteorologist for 3 decades. Gosh, dude. But there was no way to refer them to anyone in management, said Brewer, who left at the end of 2020. There wasn't any interest in correcting them until the OIG report. It is so weird to me that they are highlighting Combat Craig when he just recently passed away. Very sad, very tragic. No mention of his death so far. Very, what would I like, classless, you know? Some unaccredited firms are large, sophisticated businesses that employ dozens of staff members and refer veterans to affiliated medical advisors. That's a red flag right there. This is a red flag when it's accompanied with claim companies, okay? Others are smaller operations with flamboyant presences on TikTok, Facebook, or YouTube. I actually love this word choice here because I understand what they're referring to. I don't want to call any other people out. I've done that a lot. But there's someone on TikTok specifically that uses derogatory language, he curses a lot, his chest hair is always out, and he makes the dumbest ads on TikTok for VA claims. And so that, I think there's an argument there against personas like that. Anyways, there's VA Claims Academy, whose dapper cravat-wearing founder, that's... Dude, I want to do a stream with VA Claims Academy, actually. So if anyone knows Jordan Anderson or you watch his channel, can you comment on his channel and say, hey, do a live stream with the CivDiv? He said he wants you on. I would appreciate it. I'll reach out to him myself too. This is funny. Okay, that's a compliment. That's a backhanded compliment. But hey, he's got some style. All right, it's not my thing personally. I like to just be myself. Obviously, I wear a backwards hat, right? But that's hilarious, man. Advertises a 3-step VA claim formula that gets auto-approved on YouTube. In one video from 8 months ago, he calls PTSD the easy button of VA claims, explaining that even if you're decades removed from the stressor event, even if you have no records at all, even if you have no proof, it's easily turned into a winning claim. So the part one, I would have to look at that video because I don't want to hate on him. But that's not true at all. Okay, the stressor event must be verified, not optional. Must be verified. Period. There's no way around it. Okay. PTSD claims are easier than most if the stressor can be verified and if the veteran has a current chronic diagnosis for PTSD that, oh, by the way, must be confirmed by the VA. Okay, so on one hand, PTSD claims are easy because of the in-service stressor, assuming it's real. It's not real. It's verifiable. On the other hand, PTSD is more difficult because there are all these additional burden of proofs outside of at least as likely as not, right? The stressor has to be verified. must be verified. The diagnosis you need to have a diagnosis, and then it needs to be confirmed by the VBA. And so I wouldn't use that language specifically. The company did not respond to requests for comment. There's VA Claims Insider with more than 155,000 subs on YouTube, whose founder, Air Force veteran Brian Reese, promotes 3 ways to get VA disability for obesity and how to crush your VA CMP exam for PTSD. It's so weird that the disability they've chosen to highlight is PTSD, because of all the disabilities, this is not the one for this typical the tone of this article. It's not PTSD. Yeah, I would have chosen tinnitus. Migraines would have at least been in there, although that is verifiable. I wouldn't have chosen PTSD, right? And all you have to do is just go back to the M21 TAC one here that I showed earlier, all right? And just look up this. This is why. Long story short. And by the way, that took me like 5 seconds to get to. So I think the Washington Post could have done a little bit more. His website also dispenses tips on obtaining payments for other disabilities. Yeah. I mean, if you're going to say that, it's VA Claims Insider has like everything from videos to blog. So the Post analyzed more than 3,400 videos on TikTok and YouTube posted by major veteran claim influencers. One of the most common words featured on the videos is 100, a reference to the sought-after maximum disability rating. I understand what they're saying, but it's not the maximum disability rating. It showed up more than VA claims, VA disability diagnosis, and compensation. All right, look at them doing a little search engine optimization there. Tactics to game the system are passed around on social media. No. Well, I guess there is an argument. That's not what we preach. We're definitely a evidence wins claims, and so you need to get evidence. Your word means nothing. But there are definitely others out there who do that. Okay, especially on this platform. A subreddit called Veterans Benefits has more than 200,000 active visitors each week and features a weekly thread of success stories. U.S. Veterans Network, an affiliated server on the social platform Discord, hosts more than 5,500 members who share strategies to boost their ratings. My 10% plantar fasciitis was changed to plantar planus, 50%, and it puts me at 100% P&T. So excited. How is this related to fraud? A user in June who wrote about his claim for flat feet. How is this? I don't know. Combat Craig posted his first video on YouTube in 2019 and rapidly built a following with his folksy, tough love persona. That's a good way to put it. That emphasized a mistrust of government authority. I tell you what, at a minimum, they watched enough of his videos to come up with that assessment, which that's pretty spot on. And they didn't mention that he passed away. And so now I'm curious if they knew and they didn't mention it. It's just weird, like the dude is dead. I'm not accredited with the VA, or I couldn't be giving out the info I give you as they muzzle me, he says, in text accompanying some of his videos. I mean, that's him. Unlike larger businesses that entice veterans with comprehensive offers to help them prepare claims, Combat Craig dispenses advice on how to do it yourself with minimal assistance. He also charges less for services, $189 for claims coaching for those on active duty, and $599 to $999 for a letter from a medical expert establishing ailments. What? Also, I want to note, I don't want to go back up because I don't want to lose my spots. But remember how at the very beginning they talked about Combat Craig and then immediately started talking about charging $20,000 and all this other baloney stuff, right? So they know that he doesn't do that, but they chose to make that word choice in the beginning of the article. It was a conscious decision, which is even worse, by the way. Yet, like others online, Combat Craig isn't all that he seems. Okay. I am pretty sure this is going to get pretty bad here. Here we go. For starters, his real name was Louis Bauer, originally from Southern California. Bauer worked odd jobs as a blogger and as a writer for skateboarding magazines before he improperly discovered his niche as a disability expert on YouTube, according to people who knew him. His moniker obscured another, more embarrassing truth for someone in his line of work and abbreviated less than stellar military career. Records show the Air Force kicked him out after 3 years following a string of reprimands and other disciplinary infractions. Bauer enlisted as a 20-year-old in 1988. Though he described himself as a Desert Storm combat veteran in his videos, Air Force personnel records show that during 91 Gulf War, he was stationed in Turkey in a support role. Okay, this is not. There are other ways to go about saying what they just said. That's not the way. Being in Turkey in a support role is 100% a qualifier for a Gulf War veteran. Okay? To be very clear here. This is extremely distasteful. We all know what they're trying to say, okay? But this is not how. I cannot believe I just read that. Wild. Air Force records lists his last role as a detail specialist, a catch-all duty assignment for menial jobs such as apprentice cook or meat cutter. It is unclear what Bauer's duties entailed. The home in Blackfoot, Idaho of Louis Bauer, Combat Craig. Is he a Clemson? Is he a Clemson fan? Is that a Clemson flag? Combat Craig's home. While he qualified as a Gulf War veteran because he was based in Turkey, the Post found no evidence that Bauer served in combat in Iraq or Kuwait, where the war unfolded. Did he say, was that the claim he made? No, it's not. The Washington Post is almost putting words in the mouth of someone who's dead. How crazy is that? His sister, Brandy Anderson, confirmed in an interview that he remained in Turkey during the war. By his own admission, Bauer often got into trouble by reporting late for guard duty, failing inspection, and talking smack to superiors. My attitude was F you, he said in a video posted 4 years ago. When he was drummed out of the Air Force in September 91, personnel records show he held the second lowest enlisted rank in the service. Yeah, so he probably got ninja. The Marine Corps calls it ninja punched, NJP'd, Article 15 for all you other folks. And that's my guess, okay? Soon after, he met a budding entrepreneur from Florida, Craig Miller, while taking a video editing course. In 2019, he and Miller launched the Combat Craig website. He was the combat. I'm the Craig. Miller, the company's owner, said in an interview. I have so many thoughts on this person here that I will keep to myself. And if you saw my earlier Combat Craig videos, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But if I say anything here, it's just going to be bad. Miller said the company has helped many veterans petition for generous disability awards. We have had a lot of people who had not filed for compensation for years at 70, 80, 90%, he said. Okay. The thing I was looking at is this isn't in quotes. And so I'm questioning, did he say this or did he say this? like the same year the website launched, Bauer moved to Blackfoot, an eastern Idaho town that bills itself as the potato capital of the world. Divorced with no children, he bought a small modular home and plastered the exterior with whimsical R-rated signs about skateboarding, firearms, and military culture. Yep. To record his videos, he set up a studio in the basement, which he affectionately referred to as his bunker. From there, he produced and posted his videos every week and sometimes daily for the next 6 years. Then, on the night of August 11th, the Bingham County Sheriff's Office responded to an emergency call at his property, found him dead, so they do know that he's dead. At the bottom of the outdoor concrete steps leading down to his bunker, he was 57. I don't know, man. I'm going to say it was a little distasteful that they did know about this. And they said what they said. A woman at the scene told deputies that she and Bauer, whom she had met the previous day at a party, had smoked meth that night. According to an incident report obtained by the Post, the woman said she was using the bathroom when she heard a loud crash. Oh my gosh. Breaking news here. Detectives initially investigated Bauer's death as a possible homicide before concluding it was accidental. He had fallen down the stairs and fractured his neck. The coroner found no sounds of foul play, according to the incident report. The Combat Craig website posted a statement mourning Bauer's death. Louis was a pioneer who brought affordable VA disability claims and education to the masses of the world. Greedy VA claim sharks on one end and ineffective, sometimes clueless VSOs on the other. The statement read, with fierce determination, Louis navigated the maze of VA claims and services, offering not just guidance, but genuine empathy. In a sign of how cutthroat the disability claims industry has become, a rival influencer seized on Bauer's death to disparage the Combat Craig brand, which continues to post videos with footage of Bauer. Others hinted at the government cover-up. His fans lamented... Okay. We don't know he did meth. That's just what the lady said. And it wasn't mentioned in the autopsy of the coroner's report, I guess. Assuming they even did one. But veterans are conspiracy theorists. That's why that's there. His fans lamented his death and credited him for their coveted 100% disability ratings. I hope the government didn't take him out for all the help he was giving folks to battle them, one supporter posted on Facebook. Rest in peace, I got my 100% a week ago because of your videos and advice. Oh my goodness. Lies and deception. As the private claims industry has grown into big business, more sophisticated operations have cropped up to profit from veterans. I'll tell you this, if this article sparks a Senate hearing, it's probably going to be the most important Senate hearing for VA disability claims ever. Well, let's wait and see. Some of these companies employ hundreds of people and make money by taking a big chunk of whatever increase in comp they get their client. But according to current and former employees, this high volume strategy can veer into fraud. Yes, it can. It's when you charge future benefits and you have medical people on your staff. Don't do it. I'm telling you, don't do it. Don't do it. It's going to slap you in the face. All right. In North Carolina, the private claims consulting company, Veterans Guardian, earns millions of dollars in revenue monthly. Yeah, you read that right. According to current and former employees in a lawsuit unsealed last year in federal court, Bill Taylor and Scott Greenblatt started VG in 2017 out of their homes in Pinehurst, an hour west of Fort Bragg, where each served in the Army, the firm's website states. Businesses like theirs exploded during the coronavirus pandemic, when many newly unemployed veterans were stuck at home. About 200 people now work for Veterans Guardian, most of whom are ex-military or their family members, according to current and former employees. The company describes itself as pre-filing consulting firm and charges a one-time fee equivalent of 5 to 5 times the increase of a veterans receive in their monthly disability checks, future benefits. For a client with dependents, who goes from 0 to 100, this could amount for $22,000 for Veterans Guardian. On his website, VG said that it has a 90% success rate in getting our clients an increase in their disability rating. Michael Bova, a company spokesperson, said it helps 2,000 to 3,000 veterans win claims each month. Wow. I couldn't imagine doing that. Like with evidence-based VA claims, couldn't imagine hitting that or even half of that. In 2020, a former employee filed a federal whistleblower lawsuit alleging that the firm's business practices are permeated with fraud and deceit. True. Leslie Carrico, who worked at VG as a document control specialist in 2019, I did a whole video on this lawsuit here, accused the company, as well as a psychologist that refers to clients for telehealth exams, for preparing false medical records, that's fraud by the way, to make the case to VA that their clients' mental health problems were connected to their military service. The lawsuit alleges that mental health questionnaires listing symptoms were auto-populated with check marks, and the exact same check marks were entered for every patient. Fraud. The company, it says, had a singular focus on getting veterans assigned to 100% P&T level of disability. Fraud. Carrico, who said in her lawsuit that she was fired in July 19 after threatening to expose the company's business practices, declined to comment for this article. That sucks, man. This lady hasn't said anything to anyone. I mean, for the ongoing lawsuit, obviously, but it would be really nice to hear from her. Under federal whistleblower law, she stands to receive up to 30% of any damages awarded. In an email, Bova said, "Our growth shows the sizable demand for our expertise and speaks how the veteran population greatly values our services to get them the disability benefits they have earned." Bova called the allegations in Carrico's lawsuit entirely meritless and noted that the Justice Department declined to join it. Veterans Guardian intended to have the case dismissed, saying Carrico's allegations were too broad and pointing to procedural violations. It didn't happen, by the way. In September, a federal judge in North Carolina ruled that the case could move forward, but narrowed the scope. 2 current and 4 former employees told the Post that company leaders pressured them to persuade clients that they had PTSD symptoms, even when the veterans were reluctant to file claims for the disorder. The same assertion was made in Carrico's lawsuit. Bova called these employees' allegations preposterous and insulting to those who have served their country. In his emailed statements, he characterized the former staffers as disgruntled former employees, saying 2 were fired after facing complaints from other staff members and clients. Additionally, most veterans minimize the conditions they suffer from and have been conditioned over time by this adversarial system to be quiet and take what they are given, he said. We encourage veterans to reflect on the true nature of their symptoms, conditions, and the effect they have on their lives. 4 of the employees told the Post that they prepared veterans for online mental health exams with a psychologist by coaching them to look slovenly. That's fraud. That's why if there's a company that does CMP exam prep, I'm telling you right now, you need to run. You need to run. Do not do CMP exam prep. You are setting yourself up to get slapped in the face. All right. And when you do get slapped in the face, no one can do anything for you. They also told them to appear nervous, fidgety, and scattered, which could be signs of PTSD. The company specializes in mental health claims according to the employees, which can be subjective and typically require less medical documentation than physical ailments, they noted. Oh my gosh. If only Dr. Sharma was here to combat this single sentence. We told them these are questions the doctor are going to ask you. Recalled Tavin Terry, 37, who said he was fired by Veterans Guardian in 23 after asking for a large raise. Terry said he was a top producer on the company's sales team, booking as many as 75 new client appointments with veterans each month. He estimated that VA pays out $3 million to $4 million in lifetime payments to each VG client, but everything is based on lies and deception. Ooh, Terry's coming with the punches. Balam, the former intake specialist, added, "It's also like stolen valor, but it was fun to me that you're still helping veterans." Dude, Veterans Guardian is neck deep. Sierra Randolph left the company in 23 after 4 years on the sales team. She said she loved the job at first because she was helping veterans, but she grew concerned that the firm and its clients were manipulating VA for compensation they didn't deserve. PTSD was always a go, Randolph recalled, because it was easier to prove. As long as clients said they were depressed or anxious, he said, VA would rarely second-guess the symptoms. The head-to-toe approach. Even as I've used this terminology before. Even as VA has said it wants to crack down on for-profit actors who encourage veterans to game the disability system, not all of them. The government has at times adopted similar tactics in an effort to bring more veterans into the program and speed up the claims process, the Post found. In 22, the Biden admin began a campaign to reach out to veterans at hundreds of events in cities and small towns across the country. The effort followed passage of a law known as the PACT Act, which expanded who could qualify for disability benefits. As thousands of bikers gathered in the Black Hills of South Dakota in August of 24 for the world-renowned Sturgis motorcycle rally, Tammy Yarbrough walked up and down Main Street in a shirt stitched with the VA logo, carrying a stack of pamphlets that listed a wealth of benefits available to veterans. The crowd was dominated by Vietnam War veterans in leather jackets. Many had never applied for disability compensation because they don't consider themselves disabled. Is that why? Or is it because they had an encounter with the VA that was negative 50 years ago, and since then they just said, screw the VA, I'm doing my own thing? Right? Like, is that, is this a statement of fact here or opinion? The answer is opinion, by the way. Yarbrough's job on a 95-degree Saturday was to persuade them to see things differently. We asked them, are you 100% yet? Yarbrough, a veteran and former nurse who worked in VA's engagement office, told a reporter as she made her way through the mass of bikers. She joined other VA staff setting up tents in a parking lot next to the Veterans Club. One tent for disability claims, one for burial information, one to enroll in healthcare, one with general information. Inside the Veterans Club, a VA marketing employee walked from table to table, making her pitch to the crowd and drawing a beer and hamburgers. Do you need to file any claims? We have 3 mobile vet centers, she said. She persuaded several veterans to follow her outside to learn more. The same summer at Camp Lejeune, the largest Marine Corps base on the East Coast, center of the universe, Cindy Noel stood in front of a class of about 3 dozen enlisted Marines with regulation high and tight haircuts. They were nearing the end of an all-day session on VA benefits. I can almost guarantee you that people at a transition class did not have high and tights, especially not everyone. Noel leads the claims team on and around the North Carolina base for the VFW. The Marines in the classroom was preparing to leave the armed forces for civilian life. Noel, a charismatic Air Force veteran from New York, told the organization could help with their transition by assisting them in applying for disability benefits. We will go through every page of your records and find out what's wrong. Noel handing out her business card to the Marines. VA has been very nice recently, y'all. Whenever VA service connects you for something, it's for the rest of your life. Not true. You can keep filing a claim. There's no limit on one and done. The VFW has about 2,000 accredited reps, according to Ryan Gallucci, executive director of the organization's Washington office. He said he was proud of the group's efforts to urge officers and enlisted troops to file disability compensation when they're still in uniform. This is a good dude. Okay? He's awesome. There's a big difference between telling a service member to go to a doctor for something that's bothering them and a profit-based company saying, if you don't get 100, we'll help you get it, he said. I totally agree with that. Oh, hey, thank you for being a member, Melva Bana. Appreciate it. Noelle said she files disability claims for 25 to 30 veterans a week from an office at Camp Lejeune. She stresses to those still in service and to veterans alike that anything that happened to them while they were in the military, even in some cases as they were off duty, could make them eligible for compensation, because that's the law. I say to people, it doesn't matter where you are. You could get carjacked, some sort of trauma happened, she said. You're still claiming it, or a ladder fell on you at your house. While unaccredited entities push veterans to claim conditions that fetch high ratings and big payouts, accredited groups like VFW take a head-to-toe approach. Their agents review veterans' medical records and create a list of every condition that could be claimable. Okay. At many military bases, 80% of service members file for disability before they leave the service, according to interviews with multiple transition officials. Brian Housel, 43, arrived for his appointment with Noelle carrying a manila folder with his medical records. After a military career in logistics that included a 7-year deployment on Japan's Okinawa Island, he was preparing to retire. Noelle told him, you got to get every piece of body part that's broken into the claim system. She scanned his records into her computer. There's a fracture to your finger, she said. Does that still bother you? That's 0%, by the way. Hauser showed her a scar. My knuckle doesn't sit right, he said. Something like that matters, Noelle responded. She asked if he wore hearing aids. He said no. He had decided against it after 2020 physical because he didn't think they needed them. Also, 0%. Noelle urged him to reconsider. When you go for your final physical, if they ask you if you want hearing aids, or what are you going to say, she asked. Yes, he said. Noelle scrolled through the rest of his medical records. She would prepare claims for a scar on his left leg from a cyst, 0%. Acid reflux, looking at the GERD changes, right, probably 10%, maybe 30%. Allergic rhinitis, 0, 10, 30. Plantar fasciitis, 0, 10, 30. Tinnitus is 10. All told, Housel would seek disability for 26 conditions. Now let's talk about your exam, Noelle said, referring to the medical checkup. VA was likely to order to review each ailment. There's a lot of quiet moments, she warned him. A lot of people feel like they should fill the space. That decreases their rating. You just answer the question. When did it happen? How did it start? How does it feel now? Don't minimize things. Talk about the worst day. It worked. Housel said that on November 1st, 24, the day after he retired, and 3 months after Noelle filed his claim, he received his disability rating from VA 100%. I lucked out, he said. I just had really good documentation. About this, I'm going to read this part. The post collected more than 3,400 YouTube and TikTok videos from the 4 veteran claims influencers with at least 50,000 followers on their platforms. All videos, including YouTube live streams, were collected for each influencer. TheCivDiv, I made the list. VA Claims Insider, Combat Craig, and Veteran DP. I don't know who this person is. Let's go find out. Let's go to YouTube, I suppose. Oh, this guy's in, he's in bed with Veterans Guardian, by the way. Okay. From the start of their feeds through the end of July 2025. Follower counts were determined in late June. The videos were transcribed to generate a database to analyze specific trends, like the most common topics and phrases. The number of views per video included in the article were based on engagement as of October 28th. The post sought comment from influencers included in the analysis. Clayton Sims, a Marine Corps veteran who created TheCivDiv, defended the practice of coaching veterans to get a higher disability rating. One of his videos posted earlier this year is titled, "Can Old Veterans Get 100% VA Disability?" Sims explained in an email, conditions worsen over time. Veterans likely develop secondary conditions. And most importantly, this video hits on the need to show persistent disability over a significant period of time. Okay, and? Is anything wrong in that? I mean, I know I'm giving a biased view because it's me, but is anything wrong in that? That disabilities likely develop secondaries, and that if you are facing a significant period of time, especially for direct service connection, you need to show persistent disability. Isn't that what a tax-paying American would want to see in the VA claim process? That's my biased viewpoint, obviously. I can't give an unbiased opinion there. David Pineda, the founder of Veterans Network Champions Club, who posts on TikTok as Veteran DP, said in an email that his goal isn't to sensationalize, it's to educate. The use of 100% in some of our videos is a reflection of the questions veterans ask most often, not an attempt to promote or sensationalize rating, Pineda said. It's one of many topics we cover alongside how to read regulations, how to talk to your doctor, and how the VA actually evaluates claims. To estimate the annual payments for the hypothetical 100%, reporters in 25 use disability compensation rates for a veteran alone without any dependents or additional special compensation. Individual rating levels for each condition were generated based on the rating schedule for each condition. Reporting by Lisa Ryan. Additional reporting. Oh, this is just saying who did it. Okay. Oh, that's it. Okay, that's the end of it. We read it all. Whoa, man. Okay, what are my thoughts? I can tell you this article is not as bad as the other two, especially the first one. Let me see what my thoughts are. I can tell you this. I didn't like the shade thrown towards Combat Craig. Oh, did I miss it? Did I miss something? Keep reading. Oh, down here? Okay. I assume you mean down here. Is that what you mean, AFVET? Reporting by Washington Post. Additional reporting by Nate Jones. Photo by Madeline Gray. Design development by these people. Design by that. Video editing. Video graphics. Galetta. Additional. Under. That's all I got. Now I'm super confused, AFVET. There's nothing else. You mean like comments? Thank you very much, Guy. I appreciate that. Yeah, that's all I have. Unquoted. Oh yeah, I saw that part. We read it. Conditions worsen over time. Veterans likely develop secondary conditions, and most importantly, this video hits on the need to show persistent disability over a significant period of time. Oh yeah, no big deal. All right, you had me confused there. Yeah, we read that. Yeah, I think I like my quote. I can tell you that. I think that's what every taxpayer would want to see. You know, that if a veteran is claiming something, they need to show a persistent disability. Now, that's a biased viewpoint, obviously, because it's me. It's my quote. Yeah, I will say this, the thing that bothered me most about this article was how they hit Combat Craig. That does not sit well with me at all. I'm trying to think of my other thoughts, because that was a lot. I do think it's weird. There's definitely a difference between, let's say, Veterans Guardian, VA Claims Insider, and then like everyone else, right? But I started this live stream and I was going to read this article right here from The Guardian that attacked Washington Post, but then the Washington Post article came up. I'm going to have to read this later because I just read a lot and my mouth hurts. Yeah, anyways, that's all I got. Another article. Question, what's your favorite flavor of Crown? The boat people want to know. Thank you for that. All right. I don't eat Crowns. If I had to choose one, it would probably be light blue, like a sky blue, like this color here. Probably. Yeah. Ooh, Marcella, thank you very much. And thank you for all the members too. AFET, Guy Tate, Marcelo CS, thank you. I appreciate that. We are interviewing Gade. I'll tell you when that's happening. Let me do this. Let me do it with this one. We are interviewing Lieutenant Colonel retired Gade, PhD, on Veterans Day at 4 p.m. Eastern. Right here. We in here. All right. This is going to be big. Myself, Jason, he was going to come to the house. I guess he didn't want to. He preferred to have a larger audience, and so we roped in Jason and trying to make it as big as we can. So, yep, that's it. That's the mobile one, and this is the YouTube one here. Gade was in this chat? No way. Is that what you're saying, AFET? Gade was here? Luke, I reached out to him. Okay, well, hold on. Now I need to know what he said, because that would be good context for me. Any idea where the chat is? What's his name, Daniel? Oh, yeah, we're going to do a fundraiser thing. All the super chats donated, like all of these here, during that live stream is going to go to an organization he chose, which I think is TAPS. But that'll be definitely broadcasted on the live stream itself. But I want to see his YouTube profile because that's going to allow me to just take a look. We'll just say that. What's his name? What's his Darren Gate. Okay. That's his name. On here, let me see if I can find it. If I end the live stream, I won't be able to find it. So I have to do it right now. So sorry, everyone. Oh, dude, this sucks on my eyes. Okay. Well, we had a lot of comments, I can tell you that. Holy baloney. Oh, I found it. Okay. Thank you for that. Thank you for that, everyone. I got it. Nice. Appreciate that. Put that in my back pocket. Yep, I got it. Okay, well, that's that. I'm gonna do some videos on the article that we just read here. Probably the Combat Craig one first. That one's just weird. Like, why would you do that? Anyways, that's all I got. All right, peace, everyone. Appreciate it.